Hello and welcome to Talking Points, our weekly Talking Point show where we talk all things Tottenham. A lot of talkings in there. I'm Sam, Spurs for Life, and I'm joined by some super special guests as always. Resident in the house, we have Mike-Hotspur Hustler, and we're also joined by Brendan from the Choose Room podcast and superstar SUBSRCRIBE TV. How are we doing, gentlemen? We okay? Are we good in the life of a Spurs fan? What more could you want? What more could you want? Huh? As we do. Exciting times.
What more?
What more? We have something to talk about, not just every day, but I think every hour of every day we've got something to talk about because Spurs do what Spurs do. And yeah, the only thing I can say, it's exciting. Whether or not it's good for everybody's health, I don't know. But we have got football coming up soon in about the next 2 or so weeks. And we still got 3 weeks to the end of the no, it's not even 3 weeks, is it? It's a bit more than that. It's 4 weeks or so at the end of the transfer. So nearly 5 weeks. So there's plenty to do. So that's what I took the opportunity to put together this show entitled The Paratici Effect. Obviously, our new director of football is Fabio Paratici or Paratici or whatever you want to call him. I know Bob's got about 5,000 names for him. But we're going to discuss how we think or how you guys think Paratici is doing so far. Before we start the show, like, subscribe, share, comment. Please hit that like button. Helps us out tremendously. And also, we'll get to the end of the show and we'll get these guys to give you where they are. But again, if you're watching, if you're new, subscribe, get all our latest content, and hopefully you enjoy the next hour or so. Right then, let's see. What have we got banner-wise? Here we go. The Paratici Effect. How Fabio Paratici is doing so far. It's a kind of a question, kind of a statement. I'll come to you first, Bob. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, still a wait and see, really, at the moment. If you stand back, the fact we're linked to 524 players on a daily basis is great. I just want the 4-5 players in, ideally a couple of centre backs, which is quite evident looking at last season is what we need. It's a wait and see, mate. If you stand back and look at the big picture and factual picture, all we've done so far is bring a goalkeeper on loan, potentially number 2, and a potential. We don't know how he's going to do. It's a wait and see. I hope it turns out to be the next Messi. For every Dele Alli we've brought a Jack Clark. So we just don't know how it's going to work. But how's Paratici done? We can't judge him right now. For me, we can't really judge him at the end of the transfer window because we don't know how the player's going to work out. For me, just like Nuno, we have to judge him at the end of the season. But right now, it's a wait and see, and let's see what he can do.
Okay. There is, again, I'll come to both yourself, Brendan, and Ryan. There is so much going off. I think at the end of the last season, we were all crying for this change. We all wanted to see Daniel Levy not getting involved in football matters. We've kind of got our wish to a certain degree. Paratici's been brought in, started officially July 1st. So he's only been in the job just under 4 weeks, but probably been doing some background stuff before that. We've had so much to sort out. We've had the manager situation, which was farcical at times. We've got to a point now where we've got a manager in who I think we all agreed not the most exciting initially, but I've kind of grown to warm to him, seeing some of the things he said, seeing how he's approached training, all the rest of it. So again, that's a little bit of a wait and see. Let's see what happens. But Paratici looks like, from what I've seen, he's a man that's on the go. The style of his transfers has something to be desired. But again, as you were saying, Bob, I think it is a little bit of a wait and see. We have got a couple of players in, which we'll touch on in a minute. Brendan, I'll come to you next. What's your actual thoughts? How do you think it's going so far?
Hi guys, just one very quick thing before I go. I'm cleaning out my my house, helping my dad declutter. I just found this.
Oh, wicked.
1999 Worthington Cup final.
Wow.
Oh god, it's proper dusty.
That's vintage now, isn't it?
Like the trophy cabinet, yeah.
I guess it's similar to Bob on Paratici. It's he's comes with a strong reputation. I did read the Guardian article. I think it was by Romano himself, and yeah, it's an interesting guy. I think we have tried to get him before. So he's doing all the right things. He's doing his job, which is surprising to see. There's always going to be speculation bouncing back and forth, and I think we just need to calm it down a little bit, like don't get too excited positively, and also not get too down in the dumps if we see, oh, maybe we won't sign this guy. We just need to give it time, calm it down, see what pans out. There's still, as you said, 5 weeks left in the transfer window, plenty of time. We all want to get Romero in. He looks the part. It probably will happen, but I think Levy has made the right choice in appointing Paratici. He's certainly, as we said, he's relinquishing some of the footballing decisions, which is a good thing. He's not a football guy. He has his qualities. Football isn't one of them. So yeah, I'm quietly optimistic, and similar to you, Sam, in terms of Nuno, I'm warming to him. I was a bit underwhelmed, but at the same time, he does come with a track record. He's a solid appointment, and Paratici as well coming in. Paratici coming in. I think I'm actually optimistic for the season.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a long way to go, and like I said, when in any walk of life, if you've changed company, whatever it was, even though you've got a lot of experience and you've changed somewhere else, coming to a new country, settling in. He's only been here a couple of months, He's got a lot of other stuff to deal with. Now, I know that's kind of maybe using a bit of an excuse for him because he goes all around the world traveling all the way. But that's still not going to take away from the fact that somebody's got to come in and settle. We look at players and we talk about players settling in. We talk about that. The same thing goes for managers, and the same thing will probably go for a director of football as well. But as I said, we have got a couple of signings across. Again, we'll touch on it a little bit. Mike, what's your thoughts?
I'm quietly optimistic with Paratici. I like the fact that he's sort of come in. I think he's hit the ground running to a certain degree, insofar as he's addressed that we haven't got a backup to Hugo, or a sufficient backup to Hugo, and he's identified a target. He's got him in, albeit I understand it's a loan with a view to making it permanent. But for me, I think Galini is capable of being number one if called upon, and it takes some of that pressure off Hugo. We won't have to utilise him as much as we did last season. With regards to the other signings, the other sign-in, Hill, I think he's very much one for the future, and I don't think he'll play that much the forthcoming season. I think if anything, he might be used in the domestic cups, maybe the European UEFA Conference League Cup, whatever you want to call it. I think he'll probably feature in that and sort of get accustomed to the team and the way Tottenham play, probably through the cups. I'd like to see the Romero deal over the line now. I get a bit worried especially when we've seen it with the managers. Oh yeah, Tottenham are linked with XYZ. Oh yeah, the talks are strong. It's 99% over the line, but then for some reason or other, it's fallen by the wayside, and we're on to the next target. So if we're going to get Romero, for the sake of, I did see there was talks about Tottenham being interested in Aaron Ramsey, and the price for him was £8 million. So the fact that we're sort of messing about with the difference, I think it's like 8 million with Romero. Yeah. Forget about Ramsey and go and pay the 8 million for Romero and just get it done and dusted, then move on to your next target. So 100%.
Ramsey could never happen. That could not. If they thought the fan base was toxic now, if they brought Aaron Ramsey, it would be job done. It would be completely carnage, because I don't know how they could do that and justify it.
But this is the thing, though, Sam. So instead of wasting £8 million on a player that probably doesn't want to come to Tottenham, and the fans aren't going to accept him coming to Tottenham, so forget about that and spend that £8 million in a position that we actually need to sort out. And again, well, that'd be one half of a situation at the back that we desperately need to sort out. But I'm quite optimistic with Paratici, however you pronounce his name. I think I'm quite optimistic with the season ahead with Nuno. I think we're playing tomorrow, aren't we? Against, is it MK Dons?
MK Dons 7:45.
So yeah. So yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic for the season ahead. You have to be.
You have to be optimistic, but we can see from, I think, past experience, and I know there's different opinions on the panel as well, but that's good. There's a lot of history attached to Daniel Levy and Spurs and ENIC over the last 20 years, obviously being in charge. And a lot of people have seen a lot of things, good and bad, some more so on the bad sort of side of things. And you can see from the comments that we've got getting in here, when we start getting into these like ums and ahs about a few million here and a few million there, people start, well, it's now his fault. Has Levy kind of brought in Paratici as like almost like a bit of a human shield to maybe absorb this kind of backlash that he's going to get if, for instance, the Romero deal doesn't go? Because we've been led to believe it's done, the player wants to come, it's all agreed, terms have agreed, no problem. And then all of a sudden you start to hear, well, there's a few million in. And what's your thoughts on that, Bob? Is this going to be a bit of a backlash on Paratici, or are we going to look at Daniel Levy still as being the man who's pulling these strings in the background?
Yeah, I've got no issues with Paratici. I think if he's allowed to come in and do his job, then absolutely fantastic. The issue I have is, like I say, being linked to so many players and only getting a coupling. Where we are right now, for someone in the comments saying, it's great, he's rejuvenating the squad. No. Where we stand right now, we're a weaker team than what we were when we finished last season. With Toby out and Lamela out, at the moment, we are a weaker team than what we were at any time last season. That is the facts. The fact that we're linked to a Romero or Tommy Asu, by the way, who we've been chatting to for 4 weeks, hasn't gone through yet. Suddenly the Olympics is an issue. No. Apparently the personal terms were agreed, and he wants to come to Tottenham. The rest is up to the agent. And if the reports are true, and Levy has given the checkbook to Paratici and said, here you go, here's a budget, go buy it, a 2 million for the Tommy Asu wouldn't be an issue. So it's all smokes and mirrors for me right now. I've got no issue with Paratici because he's having to deal with a certain individual who is going to be literally signing off the checks. The buck still stops with Levy. So right now, Paratici can do whatever he can. And if you look at it, mate, at the moment, all Paratici is at the moment is a Hitchin in a suit and a bit more hair. That's the way it works. He's being linked to players left, right, and centre, mate. If we brought in every single player that Hitchin was linked to, we would have had a Bruno Fernandes, a Grealish, a Skriniar by now. So, for me, I want him to work. I want him to get all the players, some of the players that he's linked with, but I'm treading very, very cautiously because last time I checked, I'm sure, and I might be wrong, ENIC and Levy are still there.
Before I come to you, Brendan, I just want to say shout out to those who are watching Reload. We've got Amrit Crow watching, Kevin Murray, ATX7 Gaming, Tom R. Thank you all for watching so far. Bungle B, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, nice name, like that one. Premier Hotspur TV, always pleasure to see you, Simon, in the house. And Sean Hurl, Christopher as well. Christopher Inshaw, that is. Talk MU. He's the one who does all of our graphics here. Without him, you wouldn't be seeing any of this sort of stuff. So thanks, Talk MU. Brilliant stuff there. Brendan, is this a bit of a human shield job? Is Paratici been brought in to protect the upper echelon of the board, particularly Daniel Levy?
I guess there's some, you could argue that. I still like to think that Levy has gone to Paratici and said, look, this is your budget. Now you go and make the signings. So it's kind of like when it's going well, it's because of Paratici. And then a few rumors circulate that we may not get Romero. Oh, it's Levy's fault. So if he doesn't have those assurances from Levy that he can purchase the players that he wants and he does have control of the budget, then it just makes his job impossible. And I don't think that would be what he would agree to. He comes with a strong reputation. He won, 5 or 6 Scudettos in a row at Juventus. And just reading up, I read the article on him by Sid Lowe today. A really good article, just sort of going into what it. Sorry, no, Sid Lowe was the Brian Hill one. Sorry. I think it was Romano that did the one. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, I think that we just have to be a bit patient. I know we're football fans and we want everything done yesterday, but I think that yes, we've lost Toby, and we would not do that if we didn't have someone lined up. We wouldn't do that. That's reckless. That's
put it politely.
I would definitely agree with that comment.
Yeah, he's our best defender, or was our best defender. He got away with a bit last year because Sanchez and Dyer were so terrible, but he still is, and is a huge servant. And the experience, the quality that he has, there's no way we would let him go if we did not have a quality replacement lined up. I'm sure it is Romero, and just think today we're a few little bumps in the road. There's always going to be negotiations. There's always going to be a few million here, a few million there. But like you said, we've seen this time and time again from Levy, and you just hope that he's learned from that and he's relinquishing those decisions to someone else to make that call, to go that extra mile, pay the extra bit, get him in.
Bob, I want you to say your comment next. You're going to say something, but also when you do that, just also with regards to this comment from Premier Hotspur TV, Simon, Barca are now in the race for Maria. How does that, as I said to you before, this is what I was saying, when we start umming and ahhing about deals, the big boys might start sniffing around thinking, hold on a minute, what's going on here? What do you think of that when this sort of comment comes up?
Yeah, not surprised, mate. It's not surprised. First of all, Barcelona, I don't believe it because Barcelona, like Brendan just said, they've got no money. So very highly unlikely that they're going to go in for a £55 million player because all eyes are on him on Barcelona at the moment. But being not a Barcelona, could be a Madrid, could be a PSG, of course they're going to come sniffing. And like always, they'll be undercut. But Brendan, you're right, mate. You know, we do need to be patient. But I think the fan base, some of the fan base patience is wearing thing. And the situation we're in at the moment, again, stand back. We're 20 days away from the start of the season, and we've got a weaker squad. It looks very like, even if a defender comes in now, it's very unlikely he's going to be starting against Man City. So we are looking at a back three if he goes that way of a Sanchez, Dyer, and a Rodon against Man City minus Harry Kane. The issue.
So what if Toby? Because like I said, I know Toby clearly said he wanted to leave.
Yeah,
he clearly is of an age now where you're not. If he stayed for another year or two, potentially could get injured. Potentially, we're not going to have any more resale value on him. If the player didn't want to play, would it be worth keeping him anyway? Even if he was our best defender, would it be worth it? I just don't know.
No issues with Toby going, matey. No issues whatsoever. Good luck on him. He's gone off for a couple of seasons. Going to have 200 grand a week. Good on him, mate, and he deserves it. He's not going to win. So there's no issues with Toby going. He's entitled to that. And if he wants to go, like you say, here you go. The rumour we were going to get 15 million for him. It turns out we've got a lot less. But the reason why we're in this situation is, we'll go back to the end of last season, is 75 days for a wait of a manager. And since then, it's just been a domino effect. We've just been playing catch up because of Levy's indecisiveness, and that's how it is, and that's the reason why we are at the moment. Nuno should have come in a lot earlier. Who knows? Maybe a Paratici could have come in a bit. Who knows? Maybe we would have targeted the players a bit earlier and got some players in a lot. We just don't know. But one thing I can guarantee: if we got in a manager a lot earlier than the 75 days, we'd be a bit more content right now. Because at the moment, mate, we've hardly heard from Nuno. We've hardly heard from our manager, our own manager. He's bedding himself in. He hasn't worked with his first team players, never mind new players coming in. So it's all a bit of a shit show at the moment. And unfortunately, that is down to Levy's indecisiveness for bringing in a manager as rather than instead of leading us down the garden path with a Poch return, with a Conte. For God's sake, we were happy to take in Fonseca. And it all comes from the people up there. So completely indecisive. And all we're doing is just cleaning up his mess. So, forgive me for being a bit apprehensive. But good luck to Paratici. I hope he does it. But right now, it's a wait and see.
I'm going to come to Mike. So we have lost Toby. He's gone. Not even arguably. He was our best defender last season.
Yeah.
I think he did kind of almost lost his way because of, I think, how some of the performances from the likes of Dyer and Sanchez. Now, we have got a head coach in, supposedly, who improves players. Now, the fact that, and I agree with what Brendan was saying, we would never, I would hope, as Spurs, let Toby Alderweireld go, even if he wants to go, without somebody else coming in. Or does Nuno feel what he has there is coachable enough, because of maybe the ages of them, that he could maybe bring these players through, play a back three, maybe protect them a little bit more with a double pivot in front. Obviously, we've got Skip back, but Højbjerg to come back. So is it the fact that he maybe hasn't looked at it as being, okay, we need to have X amount in this back four or back three, and kind of thought, well, you know what, we can do other things in other areas to maybe strengthen around it. Do you kind of get what I'm coming from with that?
Yeah, I think where am I going to go with this? So it's quite obvious that we're trying to get rid of Sanchez because there's been too much talk about him going to Sevilla. Was there talk of him going in the opposite direction to Romero?
In the Koundé deal, yeah.
In the Koundé deals, yeah. That's right. Well. So I think it's quite obvious that we're trying to replace Sanchez. Personally, if I was to, it's a difficult choice. Who do you replace, Sanchez or Dyer? I mean,
that's like who's
if you had to choose one, who do you choose?
I think Dyer get the captaincy for the two friendlies, mate. I think that's kind of stating something that there's more of a future. Yeah.
Nuno being Portuguese as well. I think there's always that Portuguese connection. I really do. That was the same with Jose, and he had that, and I think Nuno's the same. So I think Dyer's staying.
Yeah, but have it like the guy said with Toby going. I mean, he's 32. Like Bob said, he's gone off to Dubai. A couple of seasons out there, tax free, 200 grand a year. 200 grand a week. You can't blame him. So I can see the fact that, I mean, he has been one of our best centre backs along with Yang Vertonghen for the last 6 years. So at some point, the inevitable happens. We have to rebuild. We have to go out and get new defenders, new players, whatever position it might be. So I think that cycle with that whole back line, if you look at it, it's come to an end naturally. So for me, I think he sees. I think that everyone, Levy, Paratici, and Nuno see centre back as an issue, and they are trying to address that because otherwise we wouldn't be heavily linked with Koundé and Romero. So yeah, I don't think if we don't get a centre back in time, or if they do come in and they're not ready to play against Man City, then he probably will go with Rodon, Sanchez, maybe Dyer and Rodon, and go with a double pivot in front. But
what about Japhet Tanganga? Because as I said, I really don't want to see Sanchez play. If I'm honest with you, that's my personal opinion about him. I don't want to see him. I don't think he's good enough. I think his positional sense is. You
said his name.
I know I have, and I'm just letting the viewers know so they know, because they might not know about numbers. But I'm just telling you, Sanchez for me shouldn't be playing. Whether it's a 2, whether it's a 3, I don't want to see him playing. But Japhet Tanganga for me has ability, doesn't have the experience. I don't think he's been given enough time to play, but he did have a bit of an injury as well last season, which hampered his progress. He's come out and said in interviews after some of the preseason games, he's so looking forward to getting into this. He really wants to play for Spurs. That desire, that level of desire is one thing. Obviously, you have to have the ability as well. But shouldn't we not be giving him maybe a little bit more of a chance to prove himself? What's your thoughts on that, Brendan?
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Japhet. He's kind of in that sort of in between. We don't know if he's a right back or a centre back. He wants to play centre back, but you sort of question, does he have the height? But then I seem to remember he was okay in aerial duels. So yeah, he's certainly one that we do want to hold on to. Whether he is the solution to our centre back problems right now, I don't know. But yeah, I've loved seeing him. I loved, like you said, hearing him talk pre-season. Was good. He was saying about how Nuno's been received by the squad. So that was good to sort of get it from the players. Maybe I'm sure it was filtered and very much for the cameras, but he spoke really highly of Nuno, said that we are practicing some attacking football. So we are practicing how to press. Yeah. Remember that. So I do love Japhet. Just a quick one on Bob's point about the managerial arrival and it coming quite late. Agreed that the shit show from 7-8 different managers was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. It was like he sort of fell in and out of love with 7 different men. I was like a Kardashian. And so to go from that, but I still think that with the Euros, with the Copa America, the majority of the first team squads, they're not back anyway, or they're just coming back in drips and drabs. Yeah. So I think he came in right in time. Yes, it'd be nice for him to settle in, get some pictures on in his office and stuff. But the real work sort of started 1st of July when Paratici came in and Nuno followed pretty quickly. So I don't think that missing those few weeks in June were a big thing because they're on holidays or they're at the Euros.
Right.
Most of the time.
No, Brent, it was more about the shit show that happened, mate, rather than the Nuno could have come in, but I would have rather heard nothing for 75 days and saying there's potentially someone there, or even say Nuno's coming in, but after such and such a. But it's the shit show that really bothered me, and I know a lot of fan base. And Sam, just one thing, I hope, mate, it's not a case of Nuno's happy with what he's got at the moment, because that is the biggest mix signals you could get. You know, on one hand, we're saying it's all up to Paratici. He will decide the players who are going to come in and go out. But at the same time, Nuno's being entitled to turn around and say, "No, I'm happy with what I got." You know, we need, if it's clear that Paratici is in charge of all ins and outs, then let him be. I still can't get used to that. Maybe call me old-fashioned, but head coach / manager of the club should be full on with regards to who comes in and who goes out. I know times have changed, and I'm an old codger who needs to move on, but it's just something I can't get my head around. But that's a personal thing. But I think if Paratici's got all the ins and outs in hand, then you know, good luck to him.
And this is one of the things that was one of the points about Nuno that I was a little bit skeptical about. I don't think he's the most engaging, the most charismatic character in the world. He seemed very dour in his interviews with Wolves. He was what I called a tracksuit manager. I've said this many times. He didn't look comfortable in the suit. Whereas, you know, when Poch, he used to be a tracksuit manager, but when he put his suit on, he looked the part. Jose, you could say the same sort of thing. They looked the part in front of the camera. Nuno just looked uncomfortable.
The drunk uncle at the wedding. He looked
exactly. His beard was really bushy and long. It just made his appearance look like he was kind of like, does this guy know what he's doing? Yeah. They've definitely had a word with him at Spurs, because you can see his beard's been trimmed. His eyes are more wide. He's a bit more, He's more engaging. But that is going to be wearing off on him, because the pressure is going to ramp up from him from day dot when we start playing the first game. What I want to know, though, is whether or not he has any say in these players, or whether or not is your head coach, we're going to get the players, you just coach them. If that is the case, he is going to come out and say what he says. I've got a good enough squad, because he can't really say anything else. If he does, he's going to be rocking the boat at an early stage. And I don't think he doesn't appear to me that type of character to do that. So whether or not he's saying the truth or not, I don't think we're going to hear anything out of his mouth to say anything differently than I've got a good enough squad. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, guys, but that's how I see it.
I'll just jump in. Sorry, I think he obviously would be involved in the decision of the hire, like with Liverpool. They've got like a recruitment board where it's got the geezer that they stole off us, the Moneyball guy that does all the tech and analytics, and he's part of the decision. You would hope, and I'm sure he is, that Nuno is part of the decision on signing players. Whoever has the final say, I don't know, but you'd like to think it was a group decision on each player, because, like you said, he's managing. Like Bob said, he's an old school guy, and the manager has to be involved in the decisions to bring players in.
You would hope. You would hope.
I think
that's what I'm saying, because sorry, Mark. They've given him the title of head coach. So if you're a coach, it's almost like, well, your job is to do that. Now, obviously, he's gonna know the players. He's not gonna say, "Well, these players are brought in. Here you go, they're on the day," and just coach them. He's going to be involved in stuff. But I think if he was to say, "I don't want that player because of," I don't know whether or not that's going to carry enough weight to make a decision against that. Do you know what I'm saying? So if Paratici's identified these players, everything seems fine and that, I don't think Nuno's going to say, "Nah, it doesn't fit my style of play." I think he's so open to whatever he's going to do that he will take not anything, but they're going to put, well, this is what we want. There you go. That's the player. And that's my only problem with Nuno in terms of his character.
But why do you think that, though, Sam?
Because of what I've seen from him. Personally, what I've seen when he was at Wolves, we didn't.
But look at the players. Yeah. Look at the players, just quickly, before you go on to your point. Look at the players he brought in at Wolves in his first season. I'm sure that he identified those players and recommended them to the board to go out and do that business. Me personally, I think that Nuno will have a heavy say in the players that he wants in, the players he wants out, because he wants to, at the end of the day, any manager that comes in, regardless if it's Tottenham, regardless if it's Wolverhampton, whether it's Sheffield United, whoever it is, the ultimate goal for that manager is they want to be successful. So for them to have a fighting chance of being successful, I would have thought, I'd like to think and hope that they would assess the squad that they've got, and they'll probably know. Nuno will know most of these players because he's come up against them week in, week out for the last 3 or 4 seasons anyway. So he'll know where he thinks, okay, I know Tottenham's strong points, i.e. their attacking strong points, i.e. Son, Kane, etc. But then I'm sure he'll know from his analysis of when he was facing Spurs, he will know where their identified weaknesses are, i.e. right back, the gap that Serge Aurier leaves time and time again when he's been playing, and that gap that he leaves behind where it can be exploited. He knows probably that if there's set pieces going into the box, 9 times out of 10, if Toby's not playing or Rodon's not there, are we going to win a header in the box? That's probably again, it's a vulnerability for us. So I would like to think that Nuno has identified our weaknesses and has said to Paratici that these are the players that I feel, or these are the type of players that we need going forward into the next season. I.e., we need someone that is dominant in the air at the back, someone a right back that's got a bit of a brain, who knows the space that he's going to leave behind if he's going forward. And touching on your point with Tanganga, touching on your point with Tanganga, I don't think he's a centre back. I honestly think he's a right back. I think he's too small for centre back.
He says himself he's a centre back. So if a player comes out and says, "This is where I play," to tell him that's not what you are, that's a massive thing. Because when I played football, I thought I was a centre forward. And then some managers come say, "You're not centre forward. You have to play on the right." Your own mentality is like, "Well, that's not my position." So you're already taking something away from his game. The fact that you're putting him into a position that is not. Now, if he's he's got the mental strength and the mental capacity, he might adapt to that very well. But initially, you're going to think, hold on a minute, my best position is centre back, and you're telling me I'm not good enough, because that's what you're effectively saying. You're not good enough to play centre back. How that affects a player mentally at the top level of football is very, very difficult to assess. We'll only know that further down the line. Going back to your point about Nuno at Wolves. Now, what was the name of the agent that was at Wolves?
George Mendes.
He had the major influence there in terms of the players, because we were linked. He was linked so much of all the players that came through from the Portuguese element of it. So, yeah, I do agree that Nuno probably had some influence in there, but I also believe because of that link with the agent that you're having this player. You're going to get this player because we're going to do this and we're going to make this player better. Show Jota to make money. Neto, all the rest of those players that came in were very much all of that Portuguese contingent. What I want to see now is whether or not that's going to be the same aspect he takes with Spurs, or whether or not he's got an element of outside of Portugal. I don't know. And this is what I'm saying about the relationship with him and Paratici.
But with Nuno, he's going to say to Paratici that this is the style of player, this is the the characteristic I want within that player. Whether he wants someone that's dominant in the air at the back, or whether he wants quick players at the back, I'm sure he'll give those characteristics or that style of player that he wants for Tottenham in his defence, whether it's an attack, whether it's on the right wing. I'm sure he'll say, these are the style of players I want. Who have you got? Let's see what you've got and see what he comes to the table with.
I like Mike. I hope he is at the forefront, Sam, making all decisions. Just imagine if he wants to play with a big man up front, another Kane. It'd be stupid of a Paratici or anyone to go out and find a Defoe-esque kind of a striker. So I'm hoping he's given the respect and to actually turn around and say, right, this is how I'm going to play. This is the formation. This is the identity we're going to have. Go and find me the best people possible. With regards to Tanganga saying, his best position, coming out and saying his best position is centre back, and that's where he should play. Dyer says his best position is centre back.
There you go. That has killed the show. That has done the show. We don't need to do any more because that is wow. That is.
I forgot about that one.
True. Oh my god, he did actually do that. Oh my days.
Yeah.
Funny.
We're taking a pinch of salt.
So true.
Let's read a few of these comments. There's quite a few comments coming out here. Dara is saying, sorry, but anyone that thinks Levy cares what we need to win matches need to wake up. He doesn't care. Tom R. Can we be honest? Nuno can plan on doing this and that, attacking football, etc., etc. But if you have crap tools, it's not going to be pretty.
Big up, Tom.
And so, yeah, we do need the tools, and he's perfectly right. What the next question I want to ask is, I'll go through some more of these comments, is what do you actually think of this scattergun approach from Paratici? But I like the way Brendan says it, so I'm going to let Brendan say it. What's his name again? Just say it for me, because I like your accent.
It's Paratici.
Paratici, I like that too. What do you actually think of the scattergun approach? Because like Bob was saying, we're linked to about 500 players, and we're only going to get about 2. So is this a good way of going about things? Is it just to keep people guessing, or is it by design? Or I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I think it's certainly by design. He is quite detail driven, and apparently doesn't sleep. Like, he sort of knows in the back of his mind, up back to 2012, he knows that what years are remaining on what players' contracts in his head. So he clearly has a lot going on up there. But and the scattergun approach, again, like you'd like to think that there would more than one option. It's just it's playing it safe. So I don't think it's that particular part of his strategy is particularly novel. It's I'm sure that's what others do. Like, you'll always have a few options. So again,
it's shaking his head. Sorry.
It only serves the purpose of certain Twitter journalists when we're linked with every single player, and everyone's like, oh wow. So I think that the way he goes about it is fine. I think it's normal. What I'm looking for from him is his contacts, like that he has got a big Rolodex, but no one will understand what that is. with loads of contacts.
We've got young viewers here, Brendan. You can't talk about Rolodexes. Jesus Christ.
Remember paper. So yeah, I'm happy with his approach, and the scattergun. I think that probably isn't doing it justice, and I think that's a normal approach. You have a few options per position, you go for all of them, and sometimes he does it as a decoy. So whilst everyone's going on about this player, he's sort of secretly signing that player, and then bang, he turns up. So I'm sort of starting to be won over by Dom Fabio.
Bob, do you like this approach?
No. I can't get used to it. I rather him shut up. Not him, sorry. Like I say, no issue with Paratici. I'd rather be linked to no players and get 2 or 3 in. We've never had this before. Where when we brought in the players last season, Højbjerg, we all knew we were going to get him, and we got him. Reguilón came out of the blue. Bale came out of the blue. Regardless of how they all turned out, Roden was 2 weeks. So, from what it seems like, he's getting a lot of the Don accolade purely and simply because we've been linked to so many players. At this time of moment, that Don title, in my opinion, is just put to one side. When he brings a Romero in, which, by the way, doesn't look like it's going to happen, and a Tomiyasu in, which, again, you don't know what's going on with that, and a striker. We need 2 centre-backs. We need 2 centre-backs. We need a striker, and it's all very well saying patience. We're not in that position where we've got patience. Go out, identify the player, sort it out, because apparently you've got the full say-so in negotiations and signing it all off. Get it done, bring the player in. So right now, he is no Don to me. At the moment, he is another Hitchin in the soup, but it's a wait and see. The scattergun approach is being built up by the media and a certain person in Twitter sphere who's linking us. I bet you, but in the time we've been doing this stream, we've probably been linked to another 5 players. Guarantee you. So no, I don't like it. I can't get used to it. I rather have a quiet pre-season, getting 3 or 4 players like we used to, like we did last season, than be linked and get our hopes up and keep on sending us down this garden path where we see, oh, there's Conte, oh, there's Pochettino, oh, there's a Skriniar, oh, there's a Bruno, oh, there's a Grealish. I've had enough of that garden path. I'd rather stay off it. I'd rather just get the effing deals done. I so nearly swore there. Sorry, mate.
So at the moment, for Brendan, he's Fabio. Currently for Bob, he's Frank. So Frank Paratici and Fabio Paratici, very different characters. No disrespect to any Franks out there, by the way. Mike, Mike, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts about the approach he's taking?
Do you know what? I don't really care about the approach. I just care. All I care about is the fact that if we've got positions that we've identified as being a weakness, or we've got there's quite a few areas that we have got weaknesses, but if we've identified those positions, then I just want them sorted out. I want the players in, get it done. I don't care. The problem we have, and it's happened since the whole manager fiasco, is certain people in the media have just been linking us with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and all of a sudden that's just spiraled, and then it's made Tottenham like a laughing stock. Which
no, we are though, Mike. That's the thing. Unfortunately,
it grinds on me because of that, though, Bob. Because I mean, it's never happened before. And I know we can all. There's a certain individual that we can blame for that, and you can't take that away. He should be blamed for that. But I just want Tottenham. All I want Tottenham to do.
I'm just gonna, Danny. I hope he's having a laugh. Yeah. I do hope he's having a laugh. But Danny said his middle name is Frank. Danny. Sorry, that's sorry, Mike. I apologise for cutting across you, but I saw that my eyes were starting to stream. I was like, oh, man. Sorry about that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I just don't care. I just want the player. If we've got positions that we've identified as being a weakness, I just want them. Get the players in that we need to strengthen that area, and the players that are weak, not good enough, get them out and just get it done. But like I say, there's certain people in the media I feel that have just not helped our situation and come out linking us with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and that's how this has all spiraled. With that whole scattered approach. I mean, I don't think any of us are probably used to that. I mean, Tottenham have always gone about their business, identify an individual, and they just try and bring them in. But fail. 9 times out of 10, we do normally fail. Yeah. But I mean, if you can only judge him by what he does by the end of this transfer window. Yeah.
About that certain individual, just want to say, you chuck so much shit against the wall, some of it will stick. So he's about to get one of them right. So I just don't agree with it, and I don't expect everyone to agree with me. Just me personally, I don't agree with it, and it is like you say, Mike. Unfortunately, made us to look like a laughing stock. The fact that reporters can wake up and link us to Tom, Dick, and Harry, knowing full well that they're going to be proved wrong, and the reports will be false, and they're quite happy to be. Reporters are quite happy to be proved wrong by writing ex-player, ex-manager to be. Just shows where we are right now. The reporters don't give a shit about being proved wrong.
Exactly, and you only have to look, Bob. That Sun, was it the Sun the other week?
About the hurricane thing.
I mean. I mean, there's a reason why no one listens to the Sun or reads the Sun, because it's just nonsense. But I mean, it's just a prime example, isn't it?
We've got Mr. Daigle in the house.
There he is. We've
got Mr. Daigle in the house. He's done it again. Daniel bloody Levy, you've done it again. Brian, just for you, I want you to just breathe.
Yoga.
All the rest. Yoga. Just don't get angry tonight. I saw you last night, and you was heated, mate. You did say you was going to be like that, but Anyway,
who's this? Big up, Brian.
Brian was on fire. He was.
I hope he never meets Levy. I hope he never does.
Levy hopes he never meets Brian. Yeah.
He don't want to meet him, particularly on Dark Alley. He doesn't want to do that at all. Brendan. What the question I just wanted to ask: do you think Paratici is still very no, or maybe word this slightly differently? Do you think Daniel Levy's still got a very heavy influence in what's happening in terms of these potential signings and the way Paratici is going about his business at the moment?
You'd think he'd probably still be involved. Like I said earlier, the hope is that he's just sort of said, "Look, here's your budget, you go for it." Which kind of again sort of washes his hands of things, but you'd hope that he's not overly involved in the football decisions, because the majority of those that he's made have been wrong. I think him hiring Paratici is an admission that he himself knows he doesn't fully get football. the hiring of Jose Mourinho is case in point. It just defines Daniel Levy's stewardship so far in sacking our best manager in a generation and hiring a pet project. So has he given up enough of the reins? That's what I would know. But Paratici doesn't look like the sort of guy that would take his BS. That I didn't realize we couldn't swear. So if I swore earlier,
no, don't worry.
Swear.
Don't worry.
I know you fucking told me. This one's a classic. This one.
What's that? I say, well, I've been linked with Spurs, but I can't vouch for this.
Tom.
I think that he's still involved, but you'd like to think not as heavily and not relying so much on Hitchin. The Paratici is the guy now, and like I said, let's see. And I think Mike said it earlier. Let's see what happens, where we are at the end of the window, and then we can have a more sort of frank, detailed discussion about how we performed this transfer window.
Mike, do you still see Levy's fingers all in the pie, or is he kind of, maybe dipped out a little bit potentially?
I think this is a difficult one. We don't really know, do we? Let's be honest here. I'm hoping he has dipped out and he is just leaving the expert essentially to do what he's been brought in to do. Because it would make zero sense for him to have brought in Paratici as director of football.
Frank Paratici as well.
It wouldn't make any sense for him to have brought him in if Levy's still holding the reins as he was before. I think what I'm hoping is he's learned his lesson by bringing in Mourinho, who his CV speaks for itself, sacking him a week before the final, and then the whole circus from then on till the end of the season. I hope he's learned from that, and that's why he's brought Paratici in to sort of do what we need someone to do in that role, i.e. bring in players, bring out players, develop some sort of philosophy for the club, like a director of football should be doing. So Levy's certainly not that person, but
past patterns would suggest Levy's hands, unfortunately, are all over it. Hence the reason we're still dilly-dallying over 2 million with Toby Alderweireld. Hence the reason why there's an £8 million shortage for a Romero, where Romero has quite clearly stated he wants to go. I know I'm probably being a bit of a hypocrite by saying don't believe the stories, but the stories would suggest that he wants to come here. He's agreed personal terms, and we're dilly-dallying over 8 million. So if past patterns to anything to go by, and if Paratici really wants this player and is identified as the number one defender, and he's in charge of all the transfer kitty, then it should have been done by now. So unfortunately, and we can only go by past patterns, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. If we're looking at facts, what's happened previously, it stinks. It unfortunately stinks of Levy.
Going to have a little bit of devil's advocate. Could it be that he's playing a little bit of brinksmanship here? Maybe he's doing his role in the job to not get taken over, dragged over the coals. Maybe he's doing that sort of thing. Maybe they've got such an agreement in place, but they're holding out. I don't know. I'm not involved, but I saw you kind of nodding there, Brendan. What's your thoughts? Do you think he's kind of maybe a part of the dealing process?
Yeah, I mean, this is a weird one. I agree with Bob in that the history has taught us what Levy's like in terms of stalling on deals, but you kind of think maybe, and again, this is probably a wild conspiracy theory, maybe this is deliberate now for then Fabio Paratici to become this hero, that he's the one that convinced Levy to pay that extra 8 mil for Romero. He's the one that got Toby Alderweireld over the line, and he becomes a sort of cult figure among the fan base because he is the one that slapped Levy around the face and said, no, if we're going to pay a few more million, we'll pay a few more million. We need these players. And so again, it's probably a conspiracy theory, but I think maybe it's kind of just been thrown out there to when these deals do happen. I still think Romero will happen. That Paratici will come up smelling of roses.
Well, we're not in a position, are we, Brendan, where we can afford to wait, mate? We're not in a position certainly where we can snooze, because if we do snooze, we will lose, especially with a quality player like Romero. We just need the players in, and unfortunately, our fan base, and I was pretty surprised with the whole furore and the celebrations, just because we brought in the expectation levels are so low now that we were celebrating a goalkeeper on loan and a potential 20-year-old coming in as if we've gone to the next level. unfortunately we haven't, and that's why there's sometimes and I was part of it. I'm not going to lie, I was part of it, thinking, yeah, finally we made a couple of signs. But then you stand back and you look at the bigger picture. We're a weaker team. We're a weaker team from last season.
I'm just going to read out Grandpa Stephen's quote.
Big up, Grandpa.
My grandfather was called Frank, but he deserved it. He used to make fun of my grandmother's name, likening it to a vending machine because her name was Brenda. I thought I'd just get that.
I get called Brenda about 10 times a day.
Oh dear! But thanks for watching, Grandpa Steve. He's a regular viewer on here. Thank you for watching. The last point then to kind of go into kind of end the show, and I'll ask each one of you. Start with Mike first. What do we need to see happen by the 1st of September to ensure that this has been a successful transfer window for Paratici and for Spurs? Because I think he's under trial as well. You know, if he doesn't get these deals over the line, we're all going to be saying, what have we got this guy in for? He's at Juventus, he's done this, and he's not doing anything for us. So what needs to be in place come the 1st of September for you to personally think it's been okay, it's been a good window?
I think the first thing that needs to happen is we keep Harry Kane for another season. Because if we lose him now, which me personally, I think he will stay, but I definitely want to see that happen for another season at least. Because if he goes between now and the 1st of September, then we're in a lot of trouble. I can't see Spurs letting him go, because who are we going to get in between now and the end of, between 1st of September to replace Harry Kane? I think we'll struggle. So first and foremost, I'd like to see Harry Kane be persuaded to stay for another season. I think the cards are in our court on that one. The second thing that needs to be addressed, and this is the absolute necessity here, is we need the centre-back position sorted out. So if it means we miss out on Romero, but because I've seen there's talk about 3 other players coming in, and I'm okay with that. And they're 3 decent. That plan B of those players, that's a decent plan B for me. I know I'd be okay with that. But the necessity would be Harry Kane, the centre back position sorted out, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. Regardless, it needs to be sorted out. And then I want to see some of this dead wood go. So Sissoko, Winks, and Sanchez. I'm going to be realistic. I'm going to go Sanchez, Sissoko, Winks out the door.
Oh, blimey. There's a lot of firewood there. There's a lot of firewood right there.
Well, Sanchez's potential anyway, isn't it? So Winks has been talked about left, right, and centre at the moment. So you never know in regards to those 2 players. But do we need a right winger? I know it's been mentioned quite a bit within our Spurs group and stuff.
It's Gareth Bale, isn't it, mate? We've got so many goals to make up, and he did it again. I was one of his biggest critics, but the fact that he did get us 4 winners, so it's 12 points there on the board, and which could be crucial at the end of the season. So we do need to replace that, and people who think
can Bergwijn not do that?
Hopefully, absolutely. I believe he can, but then we are still one short in that position, and I know Hill's been brought in for that, but I don't think it's going to be a first team starter, mate. I think there'll be a good bedding in period.
I agree with that. Yeah. But, so maybe then, let's just chuck in a right winger then.
That would be great.
In that,
just on that then, the way we could compensate for not having a number of right wingers, because I think Bergwijn can play there, and I think obviously Moura could play there as well. I think any of the front line could really play there. It's whether they'd want to. Yeah. You could change your formation. You could go to a 3-5-2. Yeah. You could go to a 3-4-1-2. So there are options if you were lacking in that department, which is what Nuno's strengths are supposedly to be. He can play a 3 at the back. He's now trying to transition into a 4-3-3. So if he had to, and we didn't have a right winger, let's say, you can play a different way. That's what and these are the sort of things I want to see from him as a manager, as a head coach. Are you flexible in the way you approach? Because you might not have all the tools in this window. If we don't get a right winger, I don't think it's the end of the world. If we don't get a centre back and we don't replace Toby, then I think we are in a lot of problems. However, we can probably compensate on that right side by the way you play, potentially.
Yeah.
Brendan, what's your thoughts of what you want to see before the 1st of September?
Just a reflection really of what Mike said. So yeah, we want to see the centre back issue resolved, which I have confidence that it will be. We're getting at least one. We do need more than one. We need another one. If we lose Sanchez is probably our most valuable asset at the back. Dyer. So if we hold on to Sanchez, then maybe Dyer. I think Dyer might be a good candidate to go out on loan to another Premier League team. We're not going to get much money for him.
As long as he goes on loan forever, that's okay.
But yeah, I'm wary of using the term deadwood. I use it a lot, but these are human beings as well. So I'll try and not use the word deadwood.
Human deadwood.
A Guardian reading softy.
Firewood.
We normally refer to them as numbers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very similar to Mike. Sorting a few players in, sorting out key positions, and shifting some players on that need to move on for their careers and for our progression as well.
I think I really wish I had the same hopes and excitement as Brendan. I don't have the confidence purely going by what we've seen previously and what we've seen so far. But Mike kind of sums up us as a whole fan base. You know, we've seen it all before. We wanted a Skriniar, we got a Rodon. We wanted a Conte, and we got a Nuno. You know, we wanted a Romero, and it looks like we're quite content with the 3 centre backs. We want to be 2 now because Zuma's going the other way in the Koundé deal. So, you know, it's setting the bar high and delivering us mediocre or something. No, not that saying Nuno is going to be mediocre. I think he's going to be a good manager, but we've seen it over and over again. That's why I believe nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. You know, Tomiyasu blaming the Olympics. He's not coming. Blah blah blah. Brian Hill's at the Olympics. We've signed him. He's done a video for us. Yet Tomiyasu was all in the pipeline before he went to the Olympics, and we haven't got that over the line. So. Totally disagree with the Olympics as a reason. It will have a say, of course, but if we can get Brian Hill done, mate, we can certainly get Tomiyasu done when he was there. So right now, what I want to see is centre backs, and I certainly want to see a couple of attacking options because midfield wise, I think we're okay. And the players I want out, Dele Alli for me is going to bring in the most money for us. So Dele Alli for me, build up that transfer kitty and get the rest of the not deadwood, get the other surplus to requirements players out the door. But Dele Alli, mate, he's not done it for. It's been a fact. It's been poor for us longer than what he was good for us in the time he's been here.
Is there any loan players?
I'm not a Dele Alli fan, so I want to see him. I want to see him moved on because he's a sellable asset, as is Sanchez. I want to see both of them to be sold. The ages they are, you can get money for them. Dyer, who would want to buy him? I'm not sure. Winks, again, another asset that's a sellable asset to some clubs. Maybe even in Spain, someone would take him, but the money's obviously not as much as it is here. So potentially the Premier Club here, someone like Aston Villa, I can see him doing all right there. Just my thoughts.
Then saying that, Aston Villa they're on a par with us at the moment, aren't they? So isn't that just a sideways step for him?
Good. I'm quite happy
what he does when he passes on the pitch, doesn't he? So it's all right.
I'm not saying. I mean, I'm happy for him to go. I think for himself as well as the club, he needs a new challenge. But is there any loan players that you think should come up? Not loan players, sorry, academy players.
I think there's a few, mate. We've got a few. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Niall John looks like again. None of these will become first teamers. I believe out of all of them, probably Dane Scarlett will play the most in cup games. I was impressed with Whiteman. So you know he could come in for a couple of cup games, and of course the likes of Skip will be making a first team challenge, I believe. I'm up with that.
And that's
Pascotti.
Right, yeah. 2.0, as I like to call him.
Brendan, where can viewers find you?
We're everywhere you find your podcasts, so Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts, and we have a YouTube channel as well, which Bob was on yesterday, made his debut, which gave us record numbers as well. So thank you for that, Bob. Just one very quick thing on Tomiyasu as well. Like, just sorry to go sideways on this. He's at the Olympics, yeah, which are in Japan, which for me, it seems a missed opportunity from Levy, because he obviously does see the Far East market as a lucrative way. We look at Son, look at how many South Koreans we see at games. So I think maybe he's missed a trick in not getting in, doing the video with him in Japan and selling shirts, getting the shirts done out there, and
making the face of the Japanese football team. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think that deal's done. I think that might be one that comes back later on, but I think it might be late on in the window, because as I said, I think I agree, there's a lot of smoke screens going on. Maybe we're not going to get this player, maybe we are, maybe we might, and then all of a sudden I'm hoping that we do get him, job done. It might be late on the window, so we might have to ride this roller coaster for a little while yet.
Didn't we sign a Japanese player in the ladies team?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So
don't ask me. Don't ask me name.
No.
Yeah, we did.
Bob, where can the viewers find you?
SUBSRCRIBE TV. At the moment, I'm just doing one show a week, unless something really drastic or amazing or exciting happens within the Spurs world, like I did today with all the negative news we came out with Romero. So I did one at lastminute.com. But at the moment, I'm doing one show a week, which is In the Wall, 10 o'clock Saturday nights. And obviously, once the season starts, I will be doing more shows. But In the Wall, Saturday nights, 10 p.m. on YouTube, SUBSRCRIBE TV. Thank you.
TV. Fantastic. Make sure all of you go across. If you haven't already, subscribe to that channel. Just say thanks to those watching again. Danny Kiriakou, Reload, Aaron Dub in there. We've got
Piss off, Aaron.
We've got Jason Groves. Thank you for watching. Tom R again. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Grandpa Stevens, as always, he couldn't have this show without Grandpa being on there. Football Brands as well. Mike, as always, thank you very much. I think everybody knows where you can find Mike, the Hotspur Hustler. And we'll go back on into the Spurs family chat and have a bit more of probably about 1,005 messages have probably been put in there whilst we've been on this stream. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Those of you who are watching, if you haven't already done so, please hit that like button. If everybody watching hits that like button, you will do us wonders. It'll be fantastic, great. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you're just watching and haven't subscribed already, do so again. It's really, really helpful to us. And as it's free, no, it doesn't cost you a thing. Gentlemen, Brendan, Bob, Mike, thank you very much. That is it, I believe. We are